Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Ohio.
Wouldn't it be nice to see number 23 lifetime against Milwaukee here? Deep to left. Back goes the left fielder. Walk-off winner. With one swing of the bat, Jay Bruce makes the Reds a winner in the first game of the series last night. Will they need more high drama today? We'll find out next. Another beautiful weather day, another great crowd gathering here at Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati for the second game of this series. Reds trying to make it 2 in a row over the Brew Crew out of Milwaukee. And a fine, a pleasant good afternoon, and welcome to Reds Baseball. The Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers for the second time in this three-game get-together. Jim Kelch along with Chris Welsh. Chris, the Reds were a winner here last night. Now they turn to a guy who was very sharp his last time out in Homer Bailey to try to keep the W's coming.
Well, it seems like Homer Bailey is always sharp against the Chicago Cubs, and it was no exception last time out. He went 8 innings, gave up 1 unearned run overall. That was a foggy game, and it was kind of an interesting game overall. That was also the game, by the way, that Brandon Phillips went off and drove in 6 runs. But Homer Bailey's really on top of his game. What he had working that night was that split-finger fastball. It was equally effective against righties and lefties. He will face today big, tall right-hander Giovanni Gallardo. Gallardo struggled this year, but he's coming off a very good outing. He went 8 innings of shutout baseball his last time out. That was against, well, the Florida Marlins. Now, the Marlins don't hit all that well, but still, they said that Gallardo had gotten his fastball back up to around 94. His curveball was working very well, and those are the 2 main weapons for Giovanni Gallardo.
Well, the Reds won it here last night. They try to make it 2 in a row over this Milwaukee club, and if they can get the job done, it'll be 15 games above the 500 mark for the first time in 2013. Well, last night the Reds won, and they needed some help and work from the bullpen, and they got it done last night as the bullpen bounced back very nicely here on this Friday night. As the Reds and the Brewers get together for the second game of this series, there is some cloud cover, but it's going to be a very comfortable day. For more on the weather, let's check in with Aaron Seabree from WKRC Channel 12.
You're headed out to the Reds game today. Later on this afternoon, temperatures will be in the low to mid 80s, 84 on the first pitch. Look for a mix of sun and clouds, especially as we head into the mid-evening hours and later evening hours. 83 of the fifth inning, 81 by the final out.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Well, Sam LeCure was one of 3 relief pitchers last night who came in, got the job done for Cincinnati as he gets one batter to face. That was Gene Segura, and he gets Segura on a pop-up, and that ended inning number 8. And Sam afterwards talked about how well it was for him and how big it was for the entire bullpen.
So it was a rough week for me. Obviously, fresh in my mind yesterday and understanding that we need to do a better job as a bullpen, period. We've given away a couple games. We're all aware of that. It's not like we're not trying, but it was a big time for me to come in there and get that out. And, fortunately, Chappie's getting locked in, like he was in the early part of last year, locked into the strike zone where he's just going to, have the opportunity to dominate with his stuff.
The old saying about sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. Well, the Reds bullpen, that applies to, and they were the hammer last night. They were hammering the nails in. Sam LeCure got a third of an inning. Aroldis Chapman was unhittable. He came in throwing 99 and 100. Nasty slider to go along with it. And with a good luck charm in his back pocket, Alfredo Simon got the win, ran his record to 5-2. Good night for the bullpen. Maybe some more would be in store this afternoon.
Yeah, they've been beat up a little bit lately by everybody talking about them, and it was nice to see them get the job done last night. Speaking of getting the job done, the Reds have been doing that against the Brewers. They've won all 4 meetings against them this year. We get going here, Great American Ballpark. Homer Bailey against Norichika Aoki to get game 2 of this 3-game series started. Aoki at 302 with 4 home runs. He's driven in 14. Everybody in a rush today. The men in blue. Joe West behind the plate says, let's get going when Homer Bailey was ready, and Aoki stepped in there. Aoki last night had a hit, 1 for 4. Frazier cheats in at third. Homer falls behind 2 balls and 1 strike. Aoki has actually been a very hot hitter as of late. You saw his numbers there in the last 10 games, and been a better hitter this year against left-handed pitching. He's at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, the strikeouts are up for Homer Bailey. The batting average really under control of 235. I mean, he's a young man that we've seen this year has had games where he's had everything working. Fastball, slider working. That split finger pitch was a big pitch for him last time he took the mound. That was against the Chicago Cubs.
His last 6 times out there, he's 3-2 with a blown save. 5 of his last 6 quality starts.
Aoki did that last night and nearly got one down the third base line or in the left field line for a base hit. Derek Robinson ran it down, and they're playing him way over towards the line right there. He's one of these left-handed hitters that kind of runs out of the box as he's swinging, and that causes the ball to really slice very badly.
There's that slap ball to third. Frazier does a nice job of getting it and getting rid of it, and Aoki retired to start this game. Let's take a look at the Brewers batting order for today's game. Under manager Ron Renicky, Aoki, then Segura, then Gomez, Ramirez, Jonathan Lucroy in there today behind the plate, then Logan Schaefer, Juan Francisco, the former Red, is at first base, Scooter Gennett, and Giovanni Gallardo. Ron Renicky, the skipper of this club in his 3rd year, was 2nd in 2011 for the Manager of the Year award. Gomez, as he likes to do, swings at the first pitch, lines it out into right, and Bruce is there to handle it for the 2nd out. Take a look at the Reds defensively behind Homer Bailey, brought to you by your Ford dealers, Paul, Chu, and Bruce. On the infield, Frazier, Cozart, Phillips, and Votto, a battery of Bailey and Hannigan. Now it's Carlos Gomez as Aoki goes out 3rd to 1st. Gene Segura lines to right, and now the early pitch swinging Carlos Gomez.
You jinxed him.
Yes, I did. Gomez at 6th in the league in hitting at .324. Had a hit last night in 5 at-bats. Doesn't get the ball, loses the bat. It goes all the way back near the Brewers on deck circle.
He doesn't get cheated either, does he? I mean, he took a few swings like that last night, and Gomez really appears like he doesn't care whether he makes contact or not. He just wants to make sure that if he does, he's going to have some bat speed. Guy's letting it rip.
Having a very good year here in 2013, way above his season average numbers throughout his career. Homer Bailey facing the Brewers for the first time this year, for the 12th time in his career.
They think a lot of Carlos Gomez. They gave him a multi-year deal, and they think that he's got a very high ceiling.
Big cut there and a miss, and a 2-ball and 2-strike count to Gomez. Just talked about Homer Bailey getting the victory in that fog game on Monday in Chicago at Wrigley Field, making start number 14 here today, number 125 in his major league career. 42 up, 37 down with Cincinnati, now in his 7th year. Trying to get the Reds a 42nd win, trying to put them 15 over for the first time this year. Hit hard and down the left field line, but foul.
Does that look like a 2-strike swing to you? I mean, some guys make an adjustment. Brandon Phillips, we talked about a lot this year, spreading his feet out a little bit, shortening his approach, shortening his swing. But Carlos Gomez, 2 strikes, he is letting it rip.
That one bounced right down there to Ed Cedar, the 3rd base coach of this Milwaukee Brewer club. Milwaukee with the loss here to the Reds last night, and the Cubs win in New York has dropped them into the cellar of the National League Central. 12 under at 27 and 39. making homer work here with 2 out in the first inning. Aramis Ramirez waits on deck. It's a big 2-3 punch in the order for the Milwaukee Brewers, along with Gene Segura. Gomez and Segura, two of just 7 players in the big leagues with 10 homers, at least 10 homers, and at least 10 stolen bases. That was a foul ball. Came in on the fist of Gomez.
Now take a look at this slow-mo courtesy Performance Honda. Boy, you got that bat head down there. That ball found it. He's hanging right in there. Now that split finger pitch is the one you're seeing right there. I mean, maybe the slider, maybe the split finger. It's really tough to tell with Homer Bailey because both of those pitches have a lot of depth, meaning that they sink very nicely. But he normally throws the split finger pitch more to lefties than righties, but that slider's been pretty good. He's going to stay stubborn with it until he finds his zone with it, meaning down and away.
Here comes the 11th pitch now of the at-bat to Gomez. And he got him. Bailey gets the strikeout and a 1-2-3 first against the Brewers here on this Saturday afternoon. Sports Ohio is brought to you by the Ford F-Series trucks, the best-selling truck in America 36 straight years. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Dusty Baker puts forth this lineup here this afternoon. Chu, Cozart, and Joey Votto back in the lineup after sitting out for the first time all year yesterday. Phillips, Bruce, then Frazier, Xavier Paul, Ryan Hannigan, Homer Bailey make up the bottom 3, and they'll face this right-hander Yovani Gallardo.
That seems like Yovani Gallardo has been around forever, yet he is only 27 years old. He broke into the major leagues with the Brewers at age 21, and he really went right into the starting rotation. Started 17 games back there in 2007. Always been a very high strikeout pitcher. Has 64 of them on the year.
As you talked about earlier, he, like Bailey, coming off a very fine outing his last time out. In fact, for him, his best of the year.
Yeah, it is his best of the year. You know, you're wondering if all the innings that he has toiled along the way beginning to take toll on that fastball. He's best when his fastball is around 92 to 94, but he's had a hard time getting it that fast this year. He's known for a big overhand curveball, but in the last couple of years he's come up with a real good slider that he throws about equally as much as that curve, both the lefties and righties. So pretty much a 3-pitch pitcher.
Shift on for this left-hander Chu as he gets things started for the Reds.
The interesting thing about Gallardo is that he is sitting on exactly 1,000 career strikeouts. And when you hit 1,000 strikeouts, you begin to take notice and you start comparing around the franchise leaders, who's there. And Ben Sheets sits atop that as far as the Brewers go. Teddy Higuera, left-hander Teddy Higuera, and Giovanni Gallardo now with an even 1,000.
Now make it 1,001 as Joe West says that Chu goes around. Chu strikes out. That's how the Reds' first inning gets started.
You know what irritates hitters in a play like this is that they at least ask for help down the third baseline. Joe West decides to take the matter into his own hands. He's convinced that Chu went around, and he might have gone around, but I think from a diplomatic standpoint, hitters would much prefer to defer to one of the base coaches. In that case would be the third base coach, to see if he went or not.
Here's Zach Kozar with one out. Zach starts the day at 245. 6 homers, 28 runs driven in. 1 for 4 last night. He hit down in the 7-hole last night. Taps this one back to the mound, and Gallardo throws him out. Here's how Milwaukee looks defensively behind Gallardo. Brought to you by your Ford dealers. Logan Schaefer, another start out in left field, his 5th straight. Gomez and Aoki in the outfield. Ramirez, Segura, Jeanette, and Francisco third to first. The battery of Gallardo and Jonathan Lucroy, their regular catcher, back in there. And there's the former Red and earlier this year Brave, Juan Francisco, broken 0 for 15 with that base hit in the 8th inning as a pinch hitter last night. Here's Votto. Didn't start the game last evening, but did get in late as a pinch hitter in the 9th. Walked with 2 men out in that inning. Eventually was stranded. Comes in 8th in the league at 319. 11 home runs. His 11th coming in Chicago. He's driven in 33. They shift around a little bit for Joey on the infield as well. Not the huge shift in that the shortstop is still on the third base side of the bag, but cheating up the middle. Career numbers for Votto. You see a home run in there against this 27-year-old native of Mexico. He pitched for Mexico in the World Baseball Classic this spring. Now the count runs full to Votto. Reds seeing Gallardo for the 2nd time this year. He worked here on the 10th of May in a 4-3 Reds win, lasting only 4 innings through 100 pitches in that game in 4 innings, allowing 3 runs, 5 hits. And Votto, the league leader in walks and the league leader in on-base percentage, draws a 2-out walk here in the 1st. To the plate, Brandon Phillips. Brandon checks in at 287, 10 home runs, 55 RBIs. 1 driven in last night. No RBIs last night for Paul Goldschmidt of Arizona. So Phillips in 2nd place, now just 4 behind the Diamondbacks first baseman for the league lead. Six-game hitting streak for Phillips coming into this afternoon's action. Phillips comes into the game with 152 home runs as a Red second baseman. That is tied for the top spot all time in franchise history for second sackers with the Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. He has surpassed him in some other categories in RBIs, and in doubles and in hits. But he and Joe tied at 152 home runs apiece wearing the Reds uniform. Last night's hero, Jay Bruce, waits on deck. Helmet comes flying off of BP on that one, up and in.
I think it was higher than it was inside, but it still will give you a startle. When you see that pitch and you're looking down out over the plate, that's where a hitter begins to start looking for the ball down in the strike zone, especially Gallardo, who likes to get down there with that slider, and then all of a sudden you see one come across the temple.
Votto started to break and he gets picked off. Joey broke a little too soon, 1 count early, and Gallardo picks him off to end the inning for Cincinnati. On Monday, June the 17th, enjoy the Reds Senior Day Special presented by Tri-State Centers for Sight. All Reds fans 60 and older can purchase a non-premium ticket at half price. Make sure you purchase in advance of game day to receive this special offer to cheer on the Reds when they battle on the Pirates. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or go to reds.com/tickets. So Votto's is ruled as a pickoff to end the bottom of the first. So Brewers get their second look here this afternoon at Homer Bailey. It's Aramis Ramirez, Jonathan Lucroy, Logan Schaefer. Homer had a 1-2-3 first. Gunning for victory number 5 of the year if he can get it. Number 43 in his career. 42 up, 37 down lifetime with a 4.38 ERA. All with the Reds, the former number 1 pick. Ramirez a hit last night in 5 at-bats. He did strike out 3 times. There are his season numbers. A little lower than you would expect at this time of year. He missed just shy of a month earlier this season with a sprained left knee, an injury suffered when he was sliding at home against Arizona in early April, and on the DL on the 6th of April, reactivated on the 2nd of May. A late strike 3 call there by Joe West.
Joe West looking for a little drama back there. I think that he called it verbally right away and that Aramis Ramirez heard it, but just for a little theatrical pose, Joe West is not above having a little drama and some theater back there behind home plate. I mean, after all, he's been at it for about 35 years. He's got to be, if not the one of the longest tenured umpires in major leagues right now. I say 35 years as a full-time umpire. He actually broke in 1976. Played football a freshman year at Eastern Carolina University. Got a couple of country albums to his credit. Works very deeply with a sporting goods equipment company that produces a line of umpiring gear called Joe West Umpiring Gear.
Does he still perform around the league in terms of singing and playing guitar? Do you know?
I don't know. I imagine so.
A little soft liner here in the left by Jonathan Lucroy and a base hit. The Brewers catcher becomes the first base runner of the afternoon for Milwaukee. Lucroy's had a nice road trip now. 6 hits in 12 at bats with 7 runs batted in. He did not play in last night's game. His trip for the Brewers started down in Miami where they won 2 out of 3. Now here's Logan Schaefer, making his 5th straight start in left field, replacing the injured Ryan Braun, who today was announced was going on the disabled list with a right thumb injury. It marks the first time in his career that Braun has been on the DL.
Go right in that guy's lap.
They called up an outfielder from their AAA club, Caleb Gindel. Here's one that bounces off. It looked like the shin guard of Hannigan. Down to second base goes Lucroy.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that Homer Bailey right now has the same feel for that split finger pitch that he did his last time out. That's one of those pitches that kind of can come and go because of the way it comes out of your hand. Maybe that was a slider. Not much of a feel for that either.
Now a hit by Schaefer could give Milwaukee the early advantage in this game. We're in the top of the second, scoreless.
They don't really respect Schaefer's power to left field. Xavier Paul playing him rather shallow. Opposite field, left-handed hitter. The way the ball jumps out of here, that you're challenging him right there. And Schaefer is not really known for a lot of power, not even during his minor league numbers. So obviously the Reds know something about that.
Two and two now.
Rare curveball.
Used to be his main breaking ball pitch, didn't it?
Well, you know, when you come up, sometimes you're a completely different pitcher at age 18 when you're signed to your first professional contract than you finally are when you're a lot closer to the polished product. And he's tightened up just about everything, including that breaking ball.
Schaefer floats it out into center, down in front of Chu for a hit. Ed Cedar will hold the runner at third base. Lucroy. Milwaukee catcher had to wait just for an instant to make sure that ball was going to get down, and that allows him to advance only to third.
Yeah, he was a little confused right there, and I think that's because he really didn't take a good measure as to where the outfield was playing. You've got to do that on an every pitch basis, and of course I'm not even so sure he's going to score on that anyway. With one out, you don't get that great of a jump. He's a catcher running, so it's understandable that he's going from base to base.
Here now is Juan Francisco. Pinch hit in the game last night in the 8th inning for Kyle Loesch. Singled into left center field, and in doing so snapped an 0 for 15.
This is where you want to be able to have pretty good control of your breaking stuff, because Francisco's looking dead red all the time.
Young man, still only 25 years old. Some tremendous power when he makes contact.
Well, look at the swing. at his arms. I mean, his forearms about bursting through that, whatever that is, that neoprene sleeve.
Obviously a big spinach eater.
And everything else.
First and third with one out for Milwaukee. Late cut there by Francisco.
He's up there hacking.
Came over from Atlanta on the 3rd of June after being designated for assignment by the Braves. Traded for a minor league pitcher. With Atlanta this year, he's hitting .241 with 5 home runs and 16 runs batted in. Last year for the Braves, hit .234 with 9 home runs. Played parts of 3 years with the Reds, 09 through 11.
Yeah, I'm not even so sure that you have to throw Francisco a strike right here. I mean, the closer to the strike zone you throw it, the better chance he makes contact. But he's up there to swing, not to work the count.
Mentioned last night, he hit that grand slam here as a member of the Braves when Atlanta was in town. Last night it was Yuniesky Betancourt at first base. Today it's Francisco. So they've gone through a couple of first basemen this year. Matt Gamble went down with another ACL injury in spring training. Corey Hart had knee surgery. Former right fielder turned first baseman. He's out. Runner from first takes off. Here's a wild one that gets away. Lucroy will score. And the Brewers have taken a 1-0 lead. And from first base, Schaefer goes all the way to third when Hannigan was unable to locate the baseball. He was looking in the sky to his right, to his left, could not find the ball. Turned out it was right over there near the Reds on deck circle.
Well, again, a slider down and into a left-hander. It's a good spot for it if you place it right, but that ball just spins away from Hannigan, and by the time he spots it, you've got a runner going from first all the way to third. How do you score that? Double wild pitch?
Actually, the runner was going, so a stolen base and a wild pitch.
All right.
Schaefer gets his first steal of the year. A Dusty Baker brings the Reds infield in. And Francisco hits a fly ball to center. That'll get the run home. Chu will make the catch. That's out number 2. Schaefer will tag. And it's 2-0 Milwaukee here in the top of the second. They take advantage of that errant pitch. Francisco gets his 3rd Milwaukee RBI and his 19th of the year. The batter will be Scooter Gennett.
Had a chance to talk to Scooter before the ball game. You know, he did go to high school or to grade school in the Cincinnati area, St. Francis grade school up in the Lebanon area. Both his mom and dad are from Canton, Ohio. Nice young man.
Phillips will throw him out here to put an end to the top of the second. But Milwaukee strikes twice, and they lead 2-0 after an inning and a half. Game. Wendell Cox from Butler, Kentucky, currently a proud owner of a 2009 Camry, will win this beautiful new Tundra that's on display all season long here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by visiting your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. And don't forget, now in tonight's game here this afternoon, actually, Reds and the Brewers are participating in the Home Run Challenge. Every home run in this game raises $12,500 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge if you'd like to join in by going online to homerunchallenge.org. 3 home runs in last night's game, so it was a big night for prostate cancer research.
You know, next time we get Michael Milken up into the booth, and we seem to visit with Michael every year since what, 1998 or 97 is when he started this. A tremendous effort it is, but not all home runs are equal. I mean, about the home run that Jay Bruce hit last night to win the ball game, maybe that ought to be a little bonus in that. Something they could add to it. Solo's worth X amount, 2-run worth versus a solo shot worth a little bit more. It's a good start right there. I'd write that down if I were you. You're on to something, Mr. Welch. Phillips leads off here in the bottom of the second. Segura cuts off, bobbles it, throws, and got him at first. Brandon got caught napping. He got caught assuming that that was a routine ground ball to the shortstop and didn't really bust it down the line like he normally does. That's unfortunate. We haven't seen this out of Brandon in a while. I mean, it wasn't like he was dogging it, and it wasn't like he was jogging. It just wasn't full out, and you see that all the time. I mean, not everybody on every team runs every ball down the line as hard as they can. I mean, 97 out of 100 times, should be 98 out of 100 times. That's an easy 6-3 putout. Brandon's been taken to task in the past by Dusty Baker for such things, and like I said, we have not seen that from him in a while. But you know what happens, though? The one time you take the ground ball off from running really hard, the guy bobbles it, and you get exposed. Sure. That's, you know, that's the unfortunate part of it. Bruce bats with 1 out. Game winner, of course, for him was his 5th career game-ending home run last night. Came in the bottom of the 10th inning against Burke Badenhop. Give the Reds the victory at 4-3. Here's a look at it from last night. I'll tell you, when it came off the bat, you tell me, Jim Kelch, did you really think this ball was going to be a home run? I did not. I mean, the way the trajectory of the ball was a good pitch by Badenhop, blowing away. The ball just kept going and going and going. Dusty Baker says, hey, let's pack it up and head on home with a W. Was the 23rd career home run by Bruce against Milwaukee. He's hit more against the Brew Crew than any other opponent. He's done very well, as you can see there, against Giovanni Gallardo in his career. He gets a look here at a 3-2 pitch from the right-hander. And he draws the walk, and he's on with 1 out. Second walk of the game for Giovanni Gallardo. You know, I think one reason why Giovanni Gallardo has a hard time facing Jay Bruce is that he really doesn't have a pitch that goes down and away from a left-hander. His best off-speed pitches are slider and curveball. And those right-handers that have a really good changeup, that can make a left-hander, you know, jump at the fastball a little bit more. But Gallardo doesn't use his changeup very much. Gallardo sets up on the far first base side of the rubber.
Notice last year he gave up 9 stolen bases all year. This year, here in 14 starts, already given up 8 this year. He's had 4 straight years, 30+ starts, 2 straight years, 200+ innings. He's at 1 ball and 1 strike. Had 4 straight years also of 200 strikeouts in a row. One of only 3 pitchers in the big leagues that has been able to accomplish that. The others are Justin Verlander, Felix Hernandez.
How about the game that is going on right now between the Cardinals and the Marlins in Miami? First inning underway, still in the first inning. 9 runs have been scored in that ball game. The Cardinals scored 5 off of the Marlins starter Tom Kohler, and the Marlins have come right back to put 4 on the board against Lance Lynn.
We haven't seen that much against Lynn. What is he, 8-1?
Well, he's got an earned run average under 3, but at least coming into the ball game. That's not lasting very long. So you wouldn't expect a slugfest on the part of the Marlins.
Frazier just does stay alive.
Looks like the hitters on both teams went against the trend and got a lot of sleep off instead of going down to South Beach last night.
See, that would have been the polar opposite of what you would have done.
Absolutely.
See what we've got in that game. No home runs through all of that. How about that? 9 first inning runs, no home runs. Toward the hole. Segura gets 1 there, and Jeanette's throw is late. Frazier legs it out. He'll be the base runner with 2 gone.
Very slow hit ground ball. Segura, once he's got to go 3 steps to his right, it's going to really negate a chance for a double play. But Jeanette really turns this very quickly, puts something on the ball, but it's offline, and a little scoop at the other end by Juan Francisco. Jeanette actually played some summer baseball right here in Cincinnati. Played for the Midland Redskins when he was 16 and 17 years old.
He's getting a chance to play, not on an everyday basis, but more often than not. The disappointing year that Ricky Weeks has had. They bring up what was considered their number 6 prospect from the minor leagues. He was hitting just under 300 down at Nashville. We've not yet seen Weeks in this series on the field. Paul Batts with 2 out. Xavier did not play last night. Derek Robinson started out in left field. Those are career high numbers you're looking at for Paul, home run and RBI wise. 5 homers, 24 runs batted in.
You know, it's funny that you bring up the name of Ricky Weeks because he's been a thorn in the side for so many years against the Reds, but none pitcher no more so against than Homer Bailey. He hits Bailey better than any Milwaukee Brewer hitter by far. A .458 batting average, 2 home runs. He's the only guy on the team that has had more than 1 home run against Bailey, yet he sits on the bench to watch. So you might say that Ron Renneke, he doesn't care anything about those matchup sheets. Some managers live and die by them. Renneke, maybe they're trying to develop Jeanette at second base. Meanwhile, Ricky fiddles.
He's signed through next year, Ricky Weeks. Ball hits this ball to center. That's going to get down for a hit. Frazier thinks about it, then stays put at second base as Gomez gets the ball back in. And the Reds here in the bottom of the second have the tying runs on with 2 out.
Now they're not exactly knocking the cover off the ball, but they're getting it into no man's land. The Brewers did it a couple of times in the top of the second inning. And Xavier Paul does it right here, gets a pitch upstairs, and he dumps it right in there.
Frazier out at second, Paul at first in this 2-0 game. Milwaukee here in the bottom of number 2. Now it's Ryan Hanigan. He hit the ball hard twice last night. A 2-for-4 evening.
Yeah, we had that interesting discussion at lunch, Jim Kelch, with Ron Roth and Mike Cameron, the official scorers here for the Reds. And I asked him about that ball that Ryan Hanigan hit last night, which undressed Gene Segura at second base or at shortstop, versus the one that Betancourt hit at Todd Frazier at third. Frazier was tagged with an error as the ball went through his legs, a rocket shot, and Hanigan ended up getting a base hit when it was played off to the side by Segura, and that was really the operative phrase, that he played it off to the side rather than getting in front of it. And I guess in the official scorer seminar that they've been to, the way they explained it is that once a player, a defensive player, gets into a fielding position and the ball comes right at him with his glove down, if the ball gets to him at that point without him taking a horrible hop, it's going to be an error.
And that's what happened to Frazier.
And that's what happened to Frazier. Frazier didn't have a chance to do anything else except try to get his glove down. Actually, the ball nicked his shin as he went by. In fact, he told me before the ball game down during batting practice that he was just happy the ball didn't hit him right on the bone in the shin, because it would have broken my leg. That's how hard that ball was hit. And I think the Segura, who had about another 30 feet to make a decision, he kind of sidestepped it and got out of the way of that ball that Hanigan hit, and that's why he ended up with a base hit, and that Frazier was tagged with the error.
That was the ball hit by Betancourt in the 6th inning that ultimately led to a Milwaukee run, when Maldonado was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded by Bronson Arroyo. So a 1-out walk here to Bruce. 2-out base hit by Paul. Hanigan with a chance. Now he's at 2-2.
Boy, Gallardo, one of those pitchers that really slows it down with runners on base.
Like both these pitchers are similar in that regard.
Yeah. Good day to be a concessionaire.
Bailey waits on deck. Into right by Hanigan, but Aoki is there, and the inning is over. So they bend a little bit, the Brewers and Giovanni Gallardo, but they do not break, and they lead 2-0 after 2. Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio. How about these numbers that the Red starters have put up over the last 5 games? 3 victories in that 5-game stretch, 4 quality starts, and the only one that was not was the game on Thursday by Matt Latos when he allowed 4 runs in 6 innings. Just breaks down to very good starting pitching, which has really been the name of the tune for Red starters all year. Came in with the 2nd best ERA from their starters in this series, behind only St. Louis. Today's storylines brought to you by Elk and Elk. Into the 3rd we go. Giovanni Gallardo leads it off.
Guy can swing the bat now. He's batting .233. Doesn't sound like much, but in his career he has 12 home runs and 40 runs driven in.
And he gets another base hit here by the diving Joey Votto, and Gallardo is aboard with a leadoff single into right. Three hits now for Milwaukee.
One of those cases where Votto playing way off the bag down there. Normally that ball, rarely do you see that ball go between him and the line. The scouting has been so precise that you can move those infielders around and overplay like that with a great probability that you're not going to see what just happened.
Here's the right fielder of the Brewers, Aoki. Frazier way in at 3rd. Aoki comes into this game as the toughest batter to strike out in the National League. Strikes out 1 every 20.7 times to the plate. Only fan 14 times this year. To the mound. There's one. Got them both. That didn't happen as quickly as you might hope it would, but it did occur. 1-6-3. Aoki into the double play.
Well, it happened so quick because it was just the 1st or 2nd pitch of the delivery, and boom, all of a sudden it's back for Homer. He does a great job of hesitating, taking a crow hop, and still throwing a ball that Zach Cozart can handle. Cozart was a little bit more towards 3rd base because he didn't want that hole opened up by Frazier playing shallow in here to open up too much to the left side of the infield. So he had a long way to go. Good job by Bailey to make sure he didn't rush the throw or throw a wild one.
So 2 men out. Here's Gene Segura. League's leader in hits with 88. Lined out to right his first time, brings a 10-game hitting streak into this one. Again, Frazier plays in at 3rd. 1 ball, 1 strike to this young shortstop, only 23 years old. By the pitcher to the shortstop, going to have to hurry, and he does. Nice play by Zach Cozart. They get the speedy Segura, putting an end to the top of the 3rd. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Peek in at our AT&T trivia question of the day. What stadium held the first night game in the big leagues outside of Cincinnati? Where was the first night game outside of Cincinnati in the big leagues held? Remember, the first one was here. Where was the next one? That's today's AT&T trivia question. Reds bat in the third. Homer Bailey leads it off. Top of the order to follow, Chu and Cozart. Bailey himself, the owner of 4 hits this year and a career 166 average. See if the Reds can get to Gallardo here. The third inning this year has been a bad inning for him, an ERA of over 7.
Well, he's thrown a lot of pitches already. This is pitch number 46 coming up for Gallardo. I mean, he's only pitched 2 innings. So Reds have been working him, or he's been working himself. And that was one comment that I thought was very interesting after the very good outing that Homer Bailey had against the Cubs his last time out. He said, all I was really trying to do was be aggressive and be efficient. And nowadays, that's the only way you're going to get deep into a ball game, is be efficient. Because they won't let you go out there and throw 120, 130 pitches, 140 or 50 like Jim Maloney threw during even a couple of his no-hitters.
Of course, Jim is here today, the owner of 2 no-hitters in Reds history. Your good friend Tom Browning, Mr. Perfect, here today. Together throughout ceremonial first pitches. There they are. Tom Browning threw the late toast there.
Tom Browning spent a lot of time with the big league team in spring training this year. In fact, he was the last coach to be cut. Enjoyed every minute of it, but I think he had a lot to offer those young players, you know, from a little different perspective. Because the 2 major league pitching coaches the Reds have, Brian Price and Mac Jenkins, neither of those guys pitched in the major leagues. So here you have a little different approach from Tom Browning, way different than even Jim Maloney. Jim Maloney reared back and threw 99 miles an hour. Browning learned how to get hitters out with cunning and guile and deception, with efficient pitching. And when he talks pitching to young pitchers, it's not about mechanics and things, how to spin your curveball. It's about more of the mental stuff. I think it's really great that these young pitchers got to hear him on an everyday basis.
Interesting to hear you use the term "the last coach cut." You don't hear that kind of language. Chu at a ball and a strike. Browning, of course, the only perfect game in Reds history. Jim Maloney, along with Johnny Vandermeer, the 2 pitchers who threw more than 1 no-hitter in history. Jim Maloney's in 65 and 69. Johnny Vandermeer, of course, the back-to-back no-nos in 1938, today of which we celebrate the second of the back-to-backs. Chu fouls it.
Gallardo keeps trying to come in there to paint that inside corner, and Joe West just simply not giving it to him. They've had a couple of stare downs here early on, but Gallardo's been around for 7 years. He knows as much as anybody that Joe West might be the most stubborn person in this ballpark.
Now he gets Chu.
Same pitch, same spot. He got him on the first time. Actually, that was the slider. Got him on the curveball the first time. And the only 2 strikeouts of the game belong to Chu for Gallardo.
Well, 2 up, 2 down. Gallardo looking for his first perfect inning of the afternoon. Deals now with Zach Cozart. Cozart tapped out to the mound back in inning number 1. Modest hitting streak going at 4 games for Zach. To third. Ramirez has to wait, and safe the call at first base by Sam Holbrook. He laid back on that ball, and that cost Ramirez and the Brewers.
Well, you get about 5 or 6 of those a year, you can raise your average 10 or 20 points. And a good hustle right there, and you see right there, that's exactly right about Ramirez. He not only laid back, he went backstepped a couple of steps. And Cozart gets there. Our Performance Honda shows a good look at that right at the bag.
Well, the second Reds hit is a 2-out infield single by Cozart, bringing Votto to the plate. Joey walked his first time, then was picked off first by Gallardo. Came into the game with a .439 on base percentage, tops in the National League. Now he's ahead 2-0. And they continue to score down in Miami through 2. 6-6 Cardinals Marlins. Now the Cardinals have taken the lead on a David Freese home run, 7-6. Wonder if that ball went into the home run. What do they call it down there in Miami?
Sculpture.
Sculpture. Yes, thank you, Chris. The home run sculpture.
I don't think they set it off for the opposition.
No, you're right.
We don't blow fireworks off here when they hit them.
Strike to Votto, 3-1.
Votto walked his first time, and it really didn't appear like Gallardo wanted a whole lot to do with it. I think maybe Gallardo, charting the pitches last night, saw some balls that went out of the yard that didn't seem they were hit all that well. Going to be careful today.
Now from 3-0 to 3-2 to Joey Votto. Votto comes in 8th in the league in hitting, so 3 of the top 10 hitters in the league playing in this game today. Gene Segura 3, Carlos Gomez 6, Votto 8.
Well, with Votto getting a day off yesterday, I'm sure that Dusty Baker is hoping that he comes back with a little refreshed swing, a little better approach, a little more snap in the bat when he makes contact. He wants to be an Iron Man, but man, it wears on you when you play every day.
Here goes Cozart, and there's strike 3 call. Votto looked like he had walked, thought he had walked. Joe West says no way. Strike 3, and the inning is over. Indians' dramatic walk-off wins from last night. Meanwhile, the college hoops recruiting window is open, and Zach Jackson keeps you up to date on all the nation's top high school prospects. You can also find out about the improvements the Columbus Crew need to make for their stretch run. FoxSportsOhio.com has complete coverage from all of today's action involving Ohio sports. Brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less. In the fourth, it's Carlos Gomez to get it started against Homer Bailey. Bailey 46 pitches through the first 3. Funny, by contrast, Arroyo last night threw 327, so 19 pitches less. Now 2 balls and no strikes to Gomez. Out on strikes his first time after an elongated at bat. Frazier on the grass, throws out Gomez for out number 1. Well, big news before the game today on 2 fronts for Cincinnati. First of all, Jonathan Broxton, whom we got an update last night that said he had some tenderness in his elbow, today goes on the disabled list. Broxton has right elbow joint inflammation. Placed on the DL. Dusty said before the game, no structural damage, which is good news. Pedro Villarreal recalled from AAA Louisville. You recall he made the start a couple of starts ago when Johnny Cueto went on the disabled list for the second time. And so Real is up. Villarreal is up. Broxton goes on the DL, and Reds also announced prior to the game that yes, Johnny Cueto had a very good side session yesterday, and he will make the start here tomorrow. Come off the DL. That will, of course, necessitate another move by the Reds.
And the speculation is, you know, one of 2 things can happen. You keep Pedro Villarreal in the bullpen. You send down Tony Cingrani to the minor leagues to get regular work as a starter. Or you keep Cingrani, because he's pitched so well, put him in the bullpen, and you send Villarreal back. And I would imagine, from what I understand, that there are people in the organization who feel strongly both ways. Some want Villarreal to be up here and mainly for the purpose of having Cingrani pitch regularly in the minor leagues and further develop those secondary pitches, the curveball and the slider and the changeup. And there are some that say, hey, this team's in a pennant race right now. You're going to send down one of the 12 best pitchers in the entire organization. Why would you do that? So it'll be interesting to see which way it goes.
And Dusty Baker has been clamoring for the fact that he would like another lefty out of the pen. So we'll see how that ends up tomorrow.
Well, don't look now, but all of a sudden Homer Bailey, on the verge of a very efficient inning, has gotten control of his off-speed pitches. That last swing by Jonathan Lucroy, who singled his first time up, it just looked terrible.
7 pitches so far in this inning for Homer.
I only had 8 and 3rd, and that's the model of efficiency right there.
He gets Lucroy swinging. Strikeout number 3 for Homer Bailey in his second 1-2-3 frame in 4 here this afternoon. $5 million. The drawing is tonight at 11. So if you're at the game or watching the game now, make sure that you get out afterwards. Go buy those tickets. Ohio Lottery Powerball jackpot, $85 million. Let's go revisit that AT&T trivia question of the day. What stadium held the first night game outside of Cincinnati in the big leagues? Who's your guess? Ebbets Field. If you guessed Ebbets Field, you are right. June the 15th, 1938. That, ironically enough, was the date and site of the second consecutive no-hitter by Johnny Vandermeer. The first right here in Cincinnati on the 11th of June 38. The second one coming on the 15th at Ebbets Field. Funny game in that he did throw the no-hitter, but he walked 8 in that game.
Actually, between the two no-hitters, I didn't realize this until I heard it on our pregame show today, that Johnny Vandermeer, if you combine the walks that he had in both games versus the strikeouts he had in both games, he had more walks than strikeouts. And you can see from that delivery, I would call him a full effort pitcher. But what a couple of back-to-back starts he had. Wow.
Segura in the hole. Pumps and fires across in time to get Brandon Phillips.
That time Brandon running as hard as he could down the line. He's not going to let that happen again.
I think I read that Johnny Vandermeer came up as an outfielder, didn't he?
I wouldn't know. I don't know that.
I thought I read that somewhere. Maybe not. Maybe not. Here's Bruce. Walked his first time. One ball, one strike to Jay. Home run by Bruce last night, the 145th of his Reds career. Snapping a tie with Joey Votto. He's now 17th all time on the Reds all-time home run list. The list topped, of course, by the greatest of them all behind the plate, Johnny Bench. Brandon Phillips right now is 13th at 152, tied for 13th with Morgan and Rose. Josh does stay alive, Jay Bruce. Well, he's had, we showed it earlier, but really remarkable success against his hard thrower Gallardo. Over 400 at the start of the day with a couple of home runs. Certainly satisfying for him last night to hit that walk-off winner, but particularly I would bet going the other way with it, as he has been doing so often this year. He'll drive this ball to center, but Gomez will have room. That's the second out of the inning. Now that one off the bat you thought had a chance.
Had a pretty good swing on that, and it looked like after a couple of curveballs very nicely placed on the outside corner by Gallardo. Gallardo wanted to go up the ladder and sneak a fastball by him. And Bruce put a pretty good swing on it, just got a hair under it.
So 2 out for Frazier. Bounced into a force play his first time. He had those 42 consecutive games without a home run before he went back-to-back long balls while in Chicago. Hit the home run on Tuesday. Came back and hit the, turned out to be the game winner in the 7th inning on Wednesday in Chicago. Right into the teeth of that wind on Wednesday. Low liner that just got over the wall out and left.
Man, they hit a low pitch, a low fastball. He's a very good low ball hitter. And that was the home run that he hit that Brandon Phillips can continue to kind of imitate and make fun of. Almost hit it with one hand, Frazier did.
He mentioned it last night. The key to that for him is he's so strong.
Yeah. Well, his body's gone. I mean, you know, his behind is going one way, his head's going another, but he's got his hands back and he's able to throw that bat head. And even in the tech talks that we've done with him over the years, he says, hey, I don't teach this kid this swing, but this is the way I do it. Like that.
Strikeout number 4 for Giovanni Gallardo gives him his first 1-2-3 inning of this afternoon's game.
Jim Day with you, celebrating the 75th anniversary of Johnny Vandermeer's back-to-back no-hitters. Today is the anniversary of his second no-hitter, which was on the road. But June 11th, 1938, Angelo Paganelli was 16 years old. He is to my left, and he was at Crosley Field attending that game. Tell me about that experience.
Well, me and my friend were in the left field grandstand, and I was keeping score. And I wasn't paying any attention to the no-hitter. When I added it up at the end of the game, I told my friend, hey, that's a no-hitter. So we dashed to the streetcar stop, and they had a extra out already saying he pitched a no-hitter. It was only 10 minutes away.
That is awesome right there. Tell me about the experience, and you wish that you would have kept that scorecard. You did not, did you?
No, I used to keep score all the time, but never did save them.
4 days later, he pitches a second no-hitter. What was your feelings then when that happened?
Well, I was at home with my friend, my brothers, and we were listening to it on the radio. And we heard it. That was a surprise, too. We didn't expect that.
What was the atmosphere at Crosley Field the day that you were there, 16 years old?
It seemed to be quiet. That's why I didn't understand that it was a no-hitter. That was back in '38. We weren't that great a team in those days. I think Chuck Dresden or somebody was the coach. I don't know if he was the manager that year or not.
Well, that is something. 91 years old, and God bless you that you are here on this anniversary today. It is a pleasure to meet you. I love the history. I love the history of baseball. And, man, I would have paid anything to be there that day. It's terrific to meet you.
I was. Thank you.
Guys, let's go back upstairs. This guy, Walnut Hills High School, University of Cincinnati, worked 27 years at General Electric as an engineer, but his claim to fame is he was there at Crosley.
All right, thank you, Jim Day. That's a good piece indeed. Meanwhile, down on the field, Juan Francisco has gone the other way and just got it inside the foul pole in the left field corner for his first home run as a Milwaukee Brewer. And with Schaefer aboard, the Brewers have now stretched out this game to a 4-0 advantage.
Actually, he got the foul pole. When you hit it with a home run like this, you might as well call it a fair pole, because if it hits it, it's a homer. Look at the very bottom down here.
Yep.
Homer saying, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, I'll tell you what, the ball absolutely jumping to left field the last couple of nights. Ball that Bruce hit last night, I didn't think anybody thought was out of here. I didn't think that ball that Francisco hit had a chance either. Two big, strong guys, no doubt about it.
Sixth home run of the year overall for Francisco. His first as a Brewer, and it ends a long drought for Bailey in terms of giving up home runs. Chu will track this ball down for the first out of the inning. Bailey had gone into this game having not given up a home run in 7 consecutive games, covering 47 innings, and had 4 more today, so over 51 innings. And he'd given up only 1 home run ball in his last 76 innings.
Well, we've remarked a lot this year how much better he's pitched at home. He used to hate pitching here at Great American Ballpark, but he starts giving up more little cheap shots like that. He's going to again detest this home ballpark for pitching.
A couple of first pitch swings, one by Jeanette, now by Gallardo. And after the home run, there are 2 men out. Go back to Jim Day's piece. He was talking with the gentleman who attended the first of the 2 back-to-back no-hitters by Johnny Vandermeer. He said there was a small crowd that day, just over 5,000, 5,214, a game that was played in a snappy 1 hour 48 minutes. He said he thought that Chuck Dressen may have been the manager. Actually, that was the first year that Chuck had not been. His streak of 3 years in a row had ended. That was Bill McKechnie's first year as the manager of the Reds, 1938.
And when he listened to the second no-hitter on the radio, he heard that called by Red Barber and Dick Bray.
Good stuff. The old redhead.
You sound a little bit like Red Barber from time to time.
You know, I've never heard Red Barber,
well,
other than during the rain delay stuff.
You might be thinking of Wade Hoyt, but during the rain,
yeah, you're right.
He's the rain delay guy.
Yeah.
And there are albums and recordings that you can hear those. Red Barber, yeah, you ought to dig him up or dig up some of his archives and listen.
Maybe I will. Bruce chasing. He's not going to get it. Aoki is going to try for 2, and he's going to get in there with a slide. He was digging all the way there for second. So 3 now. 3 extra base hits in this inning by Milwaukee. Brewers now have 6 hits in this game. They own a 4-0 lead. They've only won twice here in their last 13 tries. Gotten off to a big start here today. You all right over there? He's not all right. He's gone to dig up Red Barber. Here's Gene Segura. Can we get you something?
Yeah.
Shovel?
A quick timeout would be great. A third out would even be better.
Yeah. Segura's lined out and grounded out. He's 0 for 2. Sometimes things happen, don't they? Sometimes things happen. Four nothing Milwaukee here in the 5th inning. 2-run opposite field home run by Juan Francisco. The only other home run that Bailey had given up in his last 11 starts plus today, so into a 12th. They've been to Carlos Beltran of the Cardinals back on the 1st of May. Dating some 76 innings and only 1 home run ball until that one opposite field shot by Juan Francisco. Francisco breaks the 0 for 15 as a Brewer last night with a pinch hit single. Now today, 3 RBIs, including an opposite field home run. Just does stay alive, Segura. Cubs have won again. That makes it 3 in a row for them. Scott Feldman gets the victory as the Cubs win at New York 5-2. Milwaukee needs a win to stay a half game behind that Chicago club for 4th. Driven into right, but right at Jay Bruce, and there is your 3rd out. The 2 cross the plate for Milwaukee and a 2-run homer by Juan Francisco. With your Cincinnati Reds, Wednesday, July the 3rd, cheer on the Reds as they take on the San Francisco Giants. And of course, stick around after the game for a post-game Independence fireworks show brought to you by the Grand Slam Getaway at CincinnatiUSA.com. The biggest bang for your buck this summer on 6, count them, 6 of your favorite family attractions. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/July. Big fireworks show here last night after the game. Celebration on the Bruce home run and then a fireworks show after. So double boom of a night last night. Here's Paul to get things started in the bottom of the 5th. Base hit his first time. We mentioned those 5 and 24 home run RBI numbers, career best for him. Most he'd ever hit in a year prior to this year's 2. He has 10 career total home runs. Previous RBI high was 20 in 2011. That was with the Pirates and the Dodgers combined. It's been a good year for Xavier Paul, who has benefited, and you hate to take advantage of that type of situation, benefited from the Ryan Ludwig injury. He's had more playing time this year. 50 games already. They had all of last year, 55.
Well, I mean, with the fact that Chris Heisey went out shortly after Ludwig went out, I mean, really left the Reds without an option for an everyday player. I mean, after all, you picked up Xavier Paul last year after he was released from the AAA franchise of the Washington Nationals. So, you know, you bring up Donald Lutz, never been in the major leagues before. Derek Robinson made his major league debut like Lutz this year. So Dusty Baker has been just really praising the efforts of, mainly Xavier Paul, because he's playing about 4 out of the 7 days, maybe 5 out of 7, but also the contributions of Robinson and Lutz. I mean, altogether, those guys have handled the left field chores very well. And they rank, if you just rank it by left field production, say in terms of runs batted in, they rank in the upper half of the National League. That threesome.
Chris Heisey participated again in batting practice today, and everything went very well for him yesterday. Participated at a full 100%. Things go well again today. They are expecting him very shortly then to head out on a rehab assignment. He's been scheduled to go out twice. He went once to Pensacola, where in the top of the first inning he felt a hamstring grabbing again, and so they shut him down. He was scheduled to go a couple of weeks ago to Louisville, never did go because he, in sliding drills here, still felt the effects of the hamstring strain. He's been out now, closing in on 2 months. 3-2 to Paul. Ronston going on the DL. We mentioned that earlier. Becomes the 8th Reds player to go on the DL this year. There have been a total of 10 trips to the DL by Reds players, with Marshall and Cueto both going twice. Cueto will come off tomorrow. Moving to his right, Segura gets it, throws on the run with a lot of steam on it, and gets Paul.
Now that gives you a little bit of a snapshot of what they like about Gene Segura defensively. Very fleet of foot, nearly 20 stolen bases, but he also gets into the hole and shows a cannon. Throwing on the run, that's a really nice play.
Here's Hannigan. Solid contact and into center for Hannigan, and a base hit. Hit number 3 for the Reds.
Occasionally the radar gun here at the ballpark is going to show not only the speed of the pitch, but the speed of the ball after it's hit. And that's the case right here. I think it came in the low 90s, around 90 to 91, and then that ball on the way out, 97.
So a 1-out base hit brings Bailey to the plate. Creeping in from third is Ramirez, and is a bunt foul. Thinking more about Gene Segura. We were wondering the other day if Segura was a rookie this year. He's having such a tremendous year, and would he have an opportunity to be the rookie of the year? The answer to that is no. He had 163 plate appearances last year with Milwaukee, and the cutoff is 150. So he is not considered a rookie here in 2013. Showing bunt, pulling back, swinging and missing. 2 strikes to Homer. Chris Spire through the signs done at third. Speaking of third base coach, good to see down in the dugout prior to the game today again, and we've seen him a couple of times here over the course of this homestand and recent homestands. Mark Berry, recovering from throat surgery, through with all of his treatment. Now it's a matter of building his strength back. Good to see him in uniform and down in the dugout and out on the field prior to the contest. There's Mark. He hopes to be back at third base before this season comes to an end. Two out for Chu. this game he's fanned twice. Struck out in the first, struck out in the third. Modest 4-game hitting streak going for him, and a hit in 7 of his last 8. Cardinal Miami game now into the 5th inning. Cardinals leading 7-6. Hard hit, but cheating up the middle, Segura, and he will throw Chu out at first, putting an end to the Reds' 5th inning. So a hit and a runner stranded. A 4-0 Milwaukee lead through 5.
Old Spice. Let's go back to the first inning when Homer Bailey faced Carlos Gomez. A lot of pitches in this at bat, a lot of foul balls, mostly off-speed pitches, as you see right there. Early in the count, Homer goes with the off-speed pitches, either splitters or sliders, and then a couple of fastballs. He runs that one right inside, and then finally puts them away after a breaking ball right there with a high fastball. Gets the first strikeout of the day, and that is our Head and Shoulders whiff. With a hint of Old Spice.
Just a hint. Homer Bailey, no walks, 3 strikeouts in this game thus far through 5. 68 pitches his pitch count.
But what a difference between tonight and last night as far as the Brewers being able to convert with runners on base. Last night they lost by 1 run. They left 11 on base. Today they have allowed only 1 on base.
They went 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position last night. Today they're 2 for 3. Gomez, as always, first pitch swinging. He struck out and grounded out. Reds have been able to handle him pretty well this year, despite the plus 300 average. He's now 3 for 17 against Reds pitching this year. Right to Frazier. On the edge of the grass. Smoked by Gomez. Quick reaction by the man at the hot corner. That's why they call it that.
Yeah, they had one hit at him last night, a one hopper that went right through the wickets. And when you're playing up, because Gomez might drop one down, you've got to be ready.
So 1 out. Here's Aramis Ramirez. He closing in on 2,000 career hits. Aramis Ramirez played on 3 different teams in the National League Central. Pirates, Cubs, now the Brewers. 1,995 career hits for him.
Well, he'll turn 35 years old in about 10 days. From Santo Domingo down the Dominican Republic. And if you talk to any of the Brewers people, they were just delighted with the role model that he has been able to present to the young players on this ball club, especially the young Latin players. You didn't always get that impression of Aramis Ramirez when he played with the Cubs. Sometimes he looked a little bit disinterested, but you talk to the insiders and they've got nothing but great things to say about him.
That for some reason seems to be the case when you talk to people about players in Chicago. There's others up there that seem sometimes to be uninterested in what's going on. Why that is? Maybe those day games would wear them out. Deep in the outfield for Ramirez, and he will walk on 5 pitches. That's the first walk given up by Bailey today. Reminder that when you're tuning in for Reds baseball, why not tune in 30 minutes early? Get Reds Live here on Fox Sports Ohio. Everything you need to know to get ready for Reds baseball you can find right here. Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Hey, happy birthday to Dusty Baker today. 64 years old for the skipper of the Reds. Jonathan Lucroy has been on once today, a base hit back in the second. He scored on the wild pitch by Homer Bailey. Fan to win the 4th. Brewers out hit the Reds last night 12-7. Have out hit them here this afternoon 6-3.
Lucroy had one heck of an offensive season last year. I mean, he went from an average of about a 260 major league hitter to hitting 320 last year. Didn't play all year long, had some injuries that kept him out, but in just about 200 at bats this year, he's back down to around that 265 level. Power numbers might be up a tad this year. RBIs are good.
He was the starting catcher for the United States team this year in the World Baseball Classic, and he has himself his second hit of this game. Now it's 2 on with 1 out, and the Brewers threaten to add to their already 4-0 lead.
That's a really good, solid swing. In fact, he kind of reminds you a little bit in his approach of Ryan Hanigan. And you tend to think that because they're both catchers, and either of them are really home run hitters. You know, Lucroy has a little more power than Hanigan. But he just stays right on it and tries to hit it up the middle. Both hits he's had have been between the gaps.
Double play ball would be in order here for the Reds if they can get it. As Ball hit into the left field corner by Schaefer, and that's going to add to the Milwaukee advantage. Chased down by Paul. 1 run scores. Ramirez. Here comes Luke Croy to the plate, sliding across. He will score. Throw into third, and they're going to get the runner there, Logan Schaefer. So his double, trying to turn it into a triple, thwarted there. Frazier puts on the tag, but 2 RBIs for Logan Schaefer, and it is now 6-0 Brewers.
And on this pitch, it was supposed to be inside to Logan Schaefer. As it turned out, it drifted way out over the plate, and he just went with it the other way. Picks up his 3rd hit of the day. 2 doubles, and this one plates a couple and makes it a 6-0 ball game.
7-6-5 on the yeah, that was 7-6-5 on the putout. At third on Schaefer, who's credited with a double in his second 3-hit game of the year. Now Juan Francisco had the 2-run homer in the 5th.
It's just amazing how there are some teams you throw your glove out there and you own them. And for Homer Bailey, those teams are the Cubs, the Astros, the Pittsburgh Pirates, San Diego Padres. You add them all up, and he is 23-4 against those teams. Milwaukee, he came into this ball game 1-5, and against the Cardinals 3-9. So there are some teams that certainly are a lot tougher for Bailey personally than others, and this Milwaukee team is one of them.
Get the out on Francisco. 3-1 as Votto makes the nice play that ends the inning, but 2 more for the Brewers and a 6-0 lead. Toyota. See your Toyota dealer or visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the JTM Food Group. Let's create great dishes together. Leisurely Saturday afternoon here in the middle of the month of June. School is out. Everybody having a good time. Enjoying this great weather. Right down there on the riverfront. Inside the ballpark, it's all Milwaukee. They lead 6-0 on 8 hits against Homer Bailey and the Reds. Reds trying to break through here. Cozart leads it off. Then Votto, then Phillips. Ramirez will throw Cozart out. Zach is 1 for 3. First out here in the bottom of the 6th. MLB.com At Bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. It's available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Reds baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and much more. Simply text At Bat to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. Here's Votto. Joey in this game walked in the first, called out on strikes in the third. First game back after sitting out yesterday for Joey, his first off day of the season, which turned out not to be a total off day, and that he did pinch hit in the ninth, although he did not stay in the game, play the 10th. In the air to left. Schaefer, a step in front of the track, handles that. Votto 0 for 2 in this game. 2 gone for Brandon Phillips.
Gallardo's on some kind of a roll. He pitched 8 innings of shutout baseball his last time out. That was against the Marlins. But he's working on 5 2/3 right now. So you're looking at 13 2/3 innings of zeros that this Milwaukee pitcher has posted on the board. They need him to pitch and pitch well.
He's been their #1 guy for years.
He has been, and he's pitched more like a #5 starter for the majority of this season anyway. He always has been a pitcher that kind of runs his pitch count up and keeps him from going really deep in a ball game. If you look up and down his game lines, I mean, he's pitching mostly 6-inning games, and he's up around the 100 pitch mark, if not over it. 2 starts ago, he went 5 2/3 and threw 112 pitches. Although last outing he did very well, that shutout effort, 8 innings against the Marlins.
Towards Segura. And a 1-2-3 frame. His second in the last 3. We are through 6 at Great American Ballpark. All Milwaukee. Times has scored twice an inning. A wild pitch got the first one home. Lucroy scored. That made it 1-0. This one, a 2-run shot into the left field corner, hits the pole right above the 328 mark, made it 4-0 Milwaukee. And then this 2-run double in the 6th inning by Logan Schaefer into the left field corner. Plated Ramirez, plated Lucroy on the slide, made it 6-0 Milwaukee. Our Honda game summary through 6 here at Great American Ballpark. Back to work Homer Bailey, sitting at 83 pitchers through 6 innings.
Well, Homer has been efficient, and so have the Brewers in their offense. Not very often that you see a pitcher who's given up 6 runs in a ball game out there in the 7th inning and have a pitch count, less than 85.
Chopped to third, and again Frazier in. That helps him make that play, and Jeanette is gone. Now Milwaukee will lift Giovanni Gallardo, so he is out of this game after 6 innings. And the Brewers will have a young man making his major league debut just up from Nashville, Caleb Gindel. was recalled when Ryan Braun went on the disabled list today. He'll become the 6th player for the Brewers to make his big league debut this year. Gindel down at Nashville was hitting .274 with 8 home runs and 38 RBIs. He was leading that Nashville team in runs batted in.
I was talking to Bill Schroeder, who's a color analyst for the Brewers before the ball game. He was telling me a little bit about Caleb Gindel. He said that this young man played in 28 or 29 spring training games. I mean, which is just about every game in spring training, on every trip, and had a great spring. Really stockily built young man. Can play all the outfield positions.
Finds himself in the hole here, 1-2.
Tom Gorzolani's a lefty up in the pen.
Gindel 5'7", 200-pounder. And in his first major league at bat, he strikes out. That's the second out of the inning. Six innings of no-run, 3-hit baseball this afternoon for Yovani Gallardo. Walked a couple, struck out 5. Brewers hang on. He will even his record at 6-6. He went through a stretch, a terrible May, where he was 1-4 with an ERA of right near 6, but he's really been able to turn it around come June. Aoki is 1 for 3. The double as last time. Jarring shot there taken by Hannigan. Wasn't that long ago here during the last homestand, in fact, that we saw a foul ball jar the mask of the home plate umpire, and he had to leave the game. Yeah, Kerwin Danley, that's who was behind the plate that day, caught that foul ball. Stayed in for what, another half inning or so, then left the game, and they replaced him the next day. Even though they have those hockey style protective masks on, it seems to do a much better job than the old style. That is a jarring jolt. You get hit with one of those foul balls.
Getting hit in the face mask is only part of the problem for a catcher. I mean, your whole body is exposed. Nowadays, those chest protectors, yeah, they absorb more impact than ever before, but they're thinner. They're meant so that you can be agile behind the plate. They used to be big cushions back there that would really inhibit how catchers would be able to throw. I think for the most part, you have to admit that pitchers are throwing harder now than they used to, at least the whole pitching staff. I mean, 20 years ago, did anybody in the league throw 100 miles an hour? Now you have a half a dozen guys that are throwing 100 miles an hour. And almost everybody out of the bullpen is throwing 95.
Nice fielding play by Homer Bailey. And he sets the Brewers down in order here in inning number 7. Third time today he's gotten the side 1-2-3. Fireworks and giveaways coming up July 1st through the 7th here at Great American Ballpark. Wednesday, July the 3rd, the first 30,000 fans will get a Todd Frazier bobblehead thanks to the Ohio Lottery. Then after the game, stick around for a post-game Independence fireworks show. Then celebrate the 4th of July week with the Reds. By getting tickets, you can call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/July. Todd Frazier due up second here in the bottom of the 7th inning. That first week of July, Reds are home against the San Francisco Giants for 4, first through the 4th, and then Seattle the 5th through the 7th. So home that entire week. J.J. Hoover now up and throwing in the Reds bullpen as Tom Gorzolani comes into the game.
Had a pretty good major league career, Gorzolani has. He's been a starter and a reliever. Starter mostly with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2007 and 8. Started with the Cubs 3 years ago, 23 starts, and also had a number of starts with the Washington Nationals. Now out of the bullpen here for the Brewers this year. From Evergreen Park, Illinois. Now I wonder if Evergreen Park, Illinois is anywhere nearby Evergreen, Illinois, which would be the birthplace of Tony Cingrani, the Reds left-hander. Might be something in the water there if you're developing those kind of lefties.
Something to ponder. Bruce in the game 0 for 1 with a walk. Remember, his numbers against left-handers have been very good this year. In fact, he hits better against lefties this year than he does against right-handers. He's at .294 against lefties, .272 against righties. Bruce has had a decent amount of success against Gorzolani, 4 for 11, with 3 of those 4 hits leaving the ballpark. Long way back for the Reds, down 6-0 as they bat here in the bottom of the 7th. Wrap up of this 3-game get-together comes tomorrow afternoon, a 1:10 game. Reds live with Jim Day, Jeff Pecora will get things started at 12:30, and the return for the second time this year from the disabled list of Johnny Cueto. Drive to center, base hit. He continues his mastery of Tom Gorzolani, 5 hits and 12 at bats for Jay Bruce. The Reds get their 4th hit of the afternoon. Well, the crew is back on their home field tonight, ready to make an impact on the Montreal Impact. That's Dwight Burgess. He'll have all the action for you beginning at 7:30 following Reds baseball right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Here's Frazier. Tracking those 2 games of interest in the National League Central, the Pirates game, the Cardinals game. Pittsburgh on the short end today, 3-1 in the 7th inning. They are trailing at home to the Dodgers after blanking the Dodgers last night 3-0. That's Clayton Kershaw going for the Dodgers today against a right-hander, Brandon Compton, making his big league debut for what has been a devastated Pittsburgh Pirate starting rotation. Gomez will handle this. Jeff Locke, who picked up the win last night, is the only one of the original 5 that is active right now in that Pirate team. A.J. Burnett recently put on the DL with a calf tear. Wandy Rodriguez on the DL with a left forearm injury. James McDonald's almost back. He pitched on a rehab assignment. Chris was talking about that last night. They released Jonathan Sanchez. They brought up Genmark Gomez. He's now on the disabled list with a forearm injury.
They activated Charlie Morton off the disabled list, who was on the disabled list. I guess he had arm surgery.
Tommy John.
Tommy John surgery. He's been out more than a year.
And also have had great success with Francisco Liriano.
It'll be interesting to see if the Pirates, where they are situated in the race right now, will be active in the trade market come the trade deadline, the end of July.
The Pirates will bring in Liriano, the lefty, on Monday night. Charlie Morton on Tuesday night here. Jeff Locke at 6-1 with a 2.19 ERA Wednesday, and they have not announced the starter for Thursday.
So 2 lefties right there of the first 3.
Remember early on in that game in Pittsburgh how very efficient Francisco Liriano was in that game over there at Pittsburgh. Cueto will go here tomorrow against Willie Peralta, the pitcher the Reds have seen and defeated earlier this year.
Hard thrower. He is among the hardest throwers in the league. Average fastball.
He made his big league debut at the Brewers last year. Did pretty well at the end of the season. Strikeout of Xavier Paul is the second out of the inning.
Pretty good fastball right here from Gorzelani. You know, when you look at the lifetime numbers of Tom Gorzelani versus left-handers, they're very impressive. He holds lefties to a 230 something batting average lifetime. So that's why when you put the numbers, what Jay Bruce has done against Gorzelani, it's very impressive.
His best year, talking about Gorzelani, was 07 when he won 14 games with an under 4 ERA for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Back as Chris was talking about earlier, back in his starting days. Bullpen guy now. Last year for the Nationals, this year for the Brewers.
We've been told by Joe Luckham that Evergreen Park, which is where Tom Gorzelani says is his birth town, and Evergreen, Illinois, both the same thing.
Base hit for Hannigan.
So Evergreen is from Ronnie's hometown, so there might be something in the water there for the left-handed pitchers.
Taking a look here, this is only the second time all day the Reds have had a runner at second base. They had Frazier at second in the second, and now have Bruce at second here in the 8th, and now Donald Lutz will come off the bench and bat for Homer Bailey, putting an end to the right-hander's day after 7 innings.
Yeah, this is really where you miss having a right-hander on the bench with some pop. And of course, with Chris Heisey not available, with Ryan Ludwig out, you know, the Reds are loaded with lefties on the bench, and it's going to be a tough go right here for Donald Lutz to face a veteran lefty in Gorzelani. Maybe he gets a mistake and runs into one right here and gets the Reds ball club right back into this baby. Had a conversation with Donald Lutz the other day. Very interesting. You know, he's a soccer fan, but when he grew up in Germany, what he played most was hockey. And he believes that his ability to, I mean, he played it from sun up to sundown, that he played so much left-handed hockey stick that was the reason why he's able to hit Major League Baseball. And we're really, without having started playing baseball like so many of the guys you see on the field, they started when they were 5, 6, 7 years old. He really didn't pick it up until he was a late teenager.
He was thrilled when Dusty Baker asked he and his friend to go to the Stanley Cup Finals Game 1 in Chicago on Wednesday night. Dusty said he sat right next to, he likes to call him Big Lutz.
I'm sure Lutz probably commentated play-by-play from a really knowledgeable base. You know, they gave him the hockey stick. You know, they're curves, right-handed and left-handed, and they gave him a right-handed one. He threw it away when he was a kid. I can't do this. So he started doing it left-handed, and he became quite a good player. Like a slap shot out of here right now would be worth 3.
Cut that deficit in half. In fact, the only home run that Donald Lutz has came against the Milwaukee Brewers. Came in a start on May the 12th. The home run came against tomorrow's starter Willie Peralta. 3-run second inning home run that day. Bruce leads away at second. Hannigan from first. Lutz swings and misses, and down he goes on strikes. So the Reds leave 2 more. They've stranded 6 through 7 in this game. Here on the Reds when they take on these Milwaukee Brewers tomorrow afternoon. The first 10,000 dads will receive a Reds Father's Day gym bag thanks to Cons. And make sure you take advantage of the Reach Magazine Sunday Family Day ticket offer. Purchase tickets at a special price. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit select Kroger locations, or you can go to reds.com/tickets. Stay with us after the game. We'll discuss both with players and managers. That's Reds Live post game, brought to you by King's Honda in the King's Auto Mall. Visit kingshondausa.com. The big crowd today, 37,519, 37,519. A little bit bigger than last night. Expect a big gathering here tomorrow on Father's Day. If you haven't made official final plans for tomorrow yet, ring pops out to the ballpark.
We have tickets available tomorrow?
Yes.
Good. J.J. Hoover, 30th game overall. He had 28 last year, and try to get that earned run average down. Tough thing to do when you're a reliever that doesn't get a lot of innings in, and you have a big number like the Cardinals put on him back on the 6th of this month. They scored 6 2/3 an inning, and they jumped that earned run average from 3.4 to 5.4. So sometimes the ERA is not the best way to evaluate a relief pitcher.
Segura on the ground to Brandon Phillips, who goes down to the knee as he likes to do and make the play.
I don't think you can throw it high enough for that guy. I mean, he has a completely different swing when you throw the ball above the waist to Segura. If you remember the last time the Reds played the Brewers, and he hit a couple of home runs to, I think, the right field. And even in today's ball game, the 2 line drives that he's hit in the 1st inning and then in the 5th inning were both pitches that were very high and up in the zone. He just loves to go that way, but it's a lot easier to hit the high pitch than the low pitch.
Yeah, Segura hit a home run to right against Tony Cingrani back on Friday night, May the 10th, and then he came back the next day and hit a 1st inning home run to right field against Matt Latos. Segura 0 for 4 today, may have seen the last of his hitting streak. Came in at 10. He may not get another AB. Gomez, meanwhile, is 0 for 3. Right-hander Donovan Hand is throwing in the Milwaukee bullpen. J.J. Hoover disposes of Gomez on strikes. Out number 2.
That's his old Pittsburgh Powder River right there, blowing it right by Carlos Gomez. I mean, he went upstairs with these high fastballs, and you see the zone. They're trying to get Gomez, who's a free swinger, just to chase that pitch up. And the thing about Hoover, the way he pitches, he reminds me a little bit of the way Jeff Bradley used to pitch. And he can be very effective up in the zone because he's not a tall guy, and he kind of throws from somewhat of a low arm angle. He stays underneath that fastball, and it doesn't sink. So he can be very effective. Hitters will swing under that high heater.
Ramos Ramirez walked in the 6th inning, then was on and scored on the double by Logan Schaefer. Logan Schaefer back-to-back 3-hit games. He certainly doesn't possess the power of Ryan Braun, but boy, 3 hits in each of the last 2 games of this series. Lazily into center. Chu battles the sun, makes the catch, and a 1-2-3 8 turned in by J.J. Hoover. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Think back, 2009, Brewers here in Cincinnati to take on the Reds. Joey Votto, look at this blast. Right out near the PNC Power Stacks. One of the closest maybe that's ever been hit out there. Joey Votto signaled. Touchdown. That came against Braden Looper of Milwaukee. And that's today's Miller time moment. How about Joey signaling? Touchdown.
Or field goal.
Or field goal. The long way away out there. Closest one that's ever come out near the Power Stacks and the Toyota sign.
Hit it too well. I mean, you didn't hit it quite as good as that, then. Oh well.
We may have given away a Tundra. That was back in 2009. Here in the bottom of the 8th, Tom Gorzolani gave up 2 hits in the 7th, but not a run. Works again in the 8th. He gets Chu, Cozart, and Votto. And a base hit in the left field for Shin-Soo Choo. He's on for the first time today.
You know, this guy just simply doesn't give away at bats. I mean, you're down 6-0. You're getting late in the ball game. But he's thinking, hey, I had a base hit, a double, the first time up last night, and I've done nothing really ever since. He did walk the last AB he had in last night's ball game. But he says, I'm 0 for 3 today, a couple of strikeouts. And he's going to hang in there and continue to try to be tough on the pitcher. And with that base hit, Ron Renick's going to do some player movement.
Yeah, he's out talking to Joe West. That's the manager of the Brewers. They've had action out in their bullpen. A right-hander, Donovan Hand, throwing. Looks like Aramis Ramirez is going to leave the game, and Jeff Bianchi, be a Yankee. It appears as if he is going to come in and play third base. So a pitching change for this Milwaukee ball club here in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Brought to you by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, ranking 3rd in the nation on the U.S. News and World Report's 2012 honor roll for best children's hospital. And by Chevy. Stop into your Tri-State Chevy dealer today and check out their full line of fuel-efficient vehicles. New pitcher, new third baseman for Milwaukee. His right-hander is Donovan Hand.
Donovan Hand is a big guy, 6 feet 3 inches. There's Jeff Bianchi at third base, 210. He's from Tecumseh, Alabama. The Brewers got him in 2007 from Jacksonville State University in Alabama. Got a big curveball. That's his main pitch.
Double play ball. There's one. There's another. Quinn Killing hit into by Zach Cozart is the first batter to face Donovan Hand. Here's Votto with 2 men out. Reds do not have an extra base hit in this game. Votto is 0 for 2 with a walk.
There's a curveball we were talking about coming in there, 69 miles an hour. So his fastball's 92. His curveball is 69. That's a pretty good separation from speeds right there that the hitter has to figure out. You don't see too many true curveballs anymore. Hand spent most of the season this year in AAA. Their AAA team is down in Nashville. The entire season last year in Nashville. '27-year-old right-hander. Wonder if he's going to well for another curveball right here.
Votto in the air to left. And we go to the ninth from Cincinnati. Brewers lead 6-0. Baseball Night in America. It's back on Fox as the Washington Nationals take on Michael Brantley and the Cleveland Indians tonight in Cleveland. That's Baseball Night in America. That begins at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. 6-0 in favor of Milwaukee.
All right, let's take a look at our Mazda pitch-by-pitch of the day. And here's the young Donovan Hand. He comes in to face Joey Votto in this at-bat. We didn't really show it. You see, Joe West was actually yelling at Hand, let's go, hurry it up between pitches. But Hand had something different on his mind. He had to face the Reds' best hitter. He ends up getting a fly ball to left field, and that is our Mazda pitch-by-pitch. He said, hey, Joe West knows my name. He thinks it's hurry up.
Manny Parra takes over here in the ninth inning. He gets the catcher Lucroy, the left fielder Schaefer, the first baseman Francisco. Manny Parra last worked in the game Thursday in Chicago, came in a tight situation, was able to get Anthony Rizzo on a ground out. Right now, other than the closer's role, he's the only lefty out of the bullpen. Will that stay that way? We'll find out more about that tomorrow and see whether Tony Cingrani is the man who goes down to Louisville when Johnny Cueto is activated, or if he stays here and works out of the bullpen. Lucroy today is 2 for 3. Manny appearing for the first time against his old club Milwaukee. There's Tony Cingrani. Remember, he made his big league debut last year working out of the bullpen.
I mean, that's the way they used to do it. All the time. You come up, you get a little bit of seasoning out of the bullpen, and if you're good enough, you get in the starting rotation.
he proved he was good enough last year, so much so that he went to spring training and he was asked about pitching at Louisville. He said, hey, I'm going to camp trying to make this ball club.
Well, he pitched very well in spring training too, and he pitched out lights out when he was down in Louisville. I mean, if you're going to take the best 12 pitchers in the organization and put them on the big league team, you have to admit that Tony Cingrani has to be one of those 12.
No question about it.
There's the age-old debate of, you know, is it better to get a guy regular work, let him develop his pitches that he will eventually need here at the major league level? Because right now he's sneaking up on the opposition.
To first, Votto goes to second, gets an out. They go back to Parra covering, but not in time. Schaefer's aboard.
Nice play by Votto.
3-6 put out, retires Lucroy.
I mean, he gets rid of that ball pronto and puts something on it. A little wobbly around the bag was Parra, but the runner was already by.
So now it's Juan Francisco. We told you earlier he had that grand slam here back in May when the Braves were in town. He has the 2-run homer today. He now has 4 home runs in this ballpark since being traded away by Cincinnati start of last year. His home run today in the 5th inning is our Nissan drive of the game. Watch that ball bounce off the bottom part of that foul pole at the 328 mark.
Well, that's just bad luck for Homer Bailey.
Well, he saw his reaction on that. He kind of doubled over, saying he couldn't believe it, and made it 4-0 at the time. 6-0 now. Francisco with more home runs in this ballpark since being traded away than he's hit anywhere else. So he has come back, so to speak, to haunt his old ball club. Three runs batted in today. Now 5 since joining the Brewers.
You wonder if he'll be in the lineup tomorrow. Johnny Cueto will get the start. I mean, what he's done so far in this series, came in for a pinch hit the other night, didn't he, and got a base hit
last night. Now he draws the walk, and he joins Schaefer on the bases here in the 9th inning.
I wasn't sure he knew how many balls or strikes he had.
Like
he wanted to stay in there and hit.
Yeah, he turned and asked Joe West, it looked like.
Joe West said, hey, about to push you out of the batter's box? Speaking of pushing at Joe West, you know, try to look up some things on Joe West and talk to some people that remember, because Joe West has been around since the mid-'70s. And you know, always, this is an example of, you always have to be careful who you insult or who you push. Because back in 1983, Joe West got in a shoving incident with Joe Torre. And in that incident, he was confronted by Torre after ball game in the runway, and he shoved him, and I guess they shoved back and forth. He ended up getting a 3-day suspension and a $500 fine, which was later reduced. Well, Torre also got some undisclosed fine or suspension as the manager of the Atlanta Braves at that time. But of course, Joe Torre now is his boss. He oversees all the umpires. So Joe West, one of the most senior umpires out there, when he's got an issue or a problem, he's got to call Joe Torre.
Double play ball, 6, 4, but not in time at first.
So I wonder if he starts every conversation with, hey, Joe, back in '83, I didn't really mean that.
The discipline guru is now the boss. Joe Torre. Well, here's Jeff Bianchi, who took over at third base as part of that double switch. That's for the first time in this series. He's hitting .250, 60 at bats with 6 runs batted in. Brewers, when they go to the field in the bottom of the 9th inning, will be gunning for their first shutout win of the year. They've been blanked 3 times. They have not authored a shutout this year. The last time they had a shutout victory was the 18th of September last year against Pittsburgh. The Yankee into center. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th here in Cincinnati. Milwaukee on top of the Reds, 6-0. Play of the game. It occurred in the top of the 3rd inning. Gene Segura at the plate. Look at this play here by Zach Kozar. Charge, get it, flip it, and in time to get the speedy Segura, who has 19 stolen bases this year. Our John Morrell hot dog play of the game. Reds come calling now in the bottom of the 9th inning. New pitcher on for Milwaukee. He's their closer these days in an unsafe situation here. Jim Henderson.
Got to get some action. Henderson took over for John Axford. John Axford spit the bit early in the year and couldn't throw the ball over the plate where he wanted to. So they've inserted Henderson. He's done pretty good. 9 saves overall. He does not walk hardly anybody. Only 5 walks and 26 strikeouts.
Talk about perseverance. Made his big league debut last year at the age of 29. He's a native of Canada. He gets Phillips to start the bottom of the 9th inning. Reds have been shut out twice this year.
Well, if you think Henderson's a big guy, he is. He's listed at 6'5", but he looks a lot bigger than that. Maybe a misprint. As you said, he's from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, but he ended up going to college at Tennessee Wesleyan. Not sure how they had that pipeline worked out, but I'm sure they're happy to have him down there. He was in 36 games last year for the Brewers, all out of the bullpen, and all out of the bullpen this year in 22 games, 9 saves. Earned run average about half of what it was last year.
He's trying to nail down the final 3 outs of this game. Send us into a rubber match tomorrow. Taking a look at the Reds day by day, they've been blanked twice this year, both on the road. They lost 10-0 at St. Louis on April the 10th, and then they were blanked 1-0 at Washington on April the 26th. Bruce waits on deck. Phillips trying to keep a hitting streak alive, sitting at 6. Reds have mustered 6 hits in this game, all singles. Went down in order twice. They've had only 2 base runners. Frazier in the 2nd and Bruce in the 7th reached second base. Pirates have cut into the deficit. They now trail the Dodgers 3-2. Phillips to right field, but playable. Aoki. Brandon is 0 for 4. 1 out. That Cardinal game in the 8th. Cardinals leading 9-7 over the Marlins. Here's Bruce. And on twice, a walk and a single. Pretty impressive. We talked about the Reds being shut out twice this year on the road. Obviously not been shut out here at home. Bruce scorches this ball to right, and Aoki can't get it over his head. Jay hustling for second. He will get in there with a slide. Bruce gets his 22nd double of the year. He's right there among the league leaders in that department. In fact, that ties in with Arizona's Gerardo Parra for the league lead.
Boy, he does scorch this ball. I mean, our slow-mo sees that right on the barrel of the bat. Munson's Furniture provides the Exmo. That ball right at the corner of the wall between the dirt and the wall, and Bruce never slowing that into a double.
The first extra base hit of the game for the Reds comes in the 9th inning. Now it's Frazier. There's that list. Gerardo Parra and Bruce now at the top. 35 doubles a year ago, Jay's career high, so he's on a pace to blow that away. So the Reds trying to avoid being shut out here at home for the first time since the 31st of August 2011 by the Phillies' Cliff Lee. All of last year not shut out here at home. Nothing this year. They have a runner at second base with 1 out. Frazier's 0 for 3. Sitting at 36 runs batted in. Phillips fly to right to start this 9th. Double to right field by Bruce over Aoki's head. Frazier slices it into right, and Aoki makes the catch. So the Brewers right fielder been busy here in the bottom of the 9th. There are 2 out. Now it's Xavier Paul. Hit back in the 2nd. He's 1 for 3. Starters are the pitchers of record. Homer Bailey went 7, allowed 6 runs, 8 hits. Giovanni Gallardo, the Brewers, 6 innings, no runs, 3 hits. Here's a numbers oddity for you. Last night, Bronson Arroyo, Kyle Loesch, the 2 starters, each threw 97 pitches in the game. Today, Homer Bailey, Giovanni Gallardo, the starters, each through 96 pitches. We call it numbers oddity. Paul can keep this game going. Hannigan waits on deck. Again, 110 game tomorrow. Johnny Cueto back off the DL will go against right-hander Willie Peralta of the Brewers. 12:30 Reds live. 110 first pitch. Father's Day. 2-1. Now the Brewers one strike away from their first shutout win of the year. This would put them 2 games over 500 for the month. Give the Reds a 500 record in the month of June. Both teams 7-6 in June right now. Broken bat, ground ball. Francisco to Henderson, out. And the Brewers bounce back with a victory here in the middle game of this series. It was the Reds last night in 10 4-3. This afternoon it's the Milwaukee Brewers who triumph with their first shutout win of the year. The final score, the Brewers 6 and the Reds nothing. There was 1 home run hit in this afternoon's game, so a total of $12,500 raised for prostate cancer research. To make a donation, get involved, you can go online. Go to homeRunChallenge.org. Again, the final score here today, the Milwaukee Brewers 6 and the Cincinnati Reds nothing. Stay with us. Reds Live postgame presented by Kings Honda is next.